So currently testing out how I'd be displaying this at like a convention, and kind of like trying to imagine what the kind of table surface I need for displaying this. I got going on here a 3 foot by 2.5 foot board, and I got 2 of those stacked on some rolling storage bins, and then they are separated out by about 4 feet. And thinking about it, if I were to make like some sort of like permanent display tables just for this bridge layer, I could have it where I turn like the bottom area into like shelving for different vehicles, like maybe an Abrams tank, my T90, and like future videos. And it can be like shelves right underneath with some storage bins. And then that way it would dual purpose as being a table surface, but then also a storage type of container type of thing. And well, I'm going to be doing a pretty good run of this setup. I have my PlayStation controller turned on, and then my vehicle is powered on. I have my desktop off in the background, which is allowing me to, so the control setup right now is I have my bridge layer connected to my computer, and my computer is connected to my PlayStation controller, and that is pretty much like there's a good word, I'll find the words later, but in this video I'm going to take it nice and slow, try and operate this bridge layer as best as possible, deploy the bridge, drive over the bridge, turn around, pick it up on the other side. And then this should also be a good video for me to test out exactly how quickly I can run my display. With my other bridge laying vehicle, I had that pretty much nailed. And so now this is kind of like an important video for me to take, so then I can kind of imagine how long it would take for me to run this at like a live convention. And so I'll be taking notes, and then be talking a lot in the video, and yeah, we'll take it nice and easy. So from this angle, this would be the perspective of like a viewer at a convention, and then I'd be standing on this side, and I primarily need to be operating the vehicle from the opposite side of the viewer, because I have my controller, which is it's easier for me to imagine how to control this bridge with my PlayStation controller oriented in this direction, right? Because I have my left hand, which is controlling the front of the bridge layer, and then I have my right hand controlling the rear end of the bridge layer. And then as I bring it around onto this side onto this this other base plate, I have to turn around and stand over here and then operate it from the other side. That's more information for myself, so then I can remember it in the future. And so that should be it. I should be able to deploy this bridge right now. And so that's what I'll be doing. So I'm going to be breaking it down, going step by step, describing what I am doing with the controls, so then I don't forget. So this video is really important because I'm trying to record exactly how to drive this vehicle. And I should be doing this with my other bridge layer too, but this one here, gonna focus on this one. Really going step by step, how to drive this vehicle, and all the things I gotta remember when driving this vehicle. And so, here we go. We begin. Let me check if this camera is going. Okay, it's going. I spent about 5 minutes blurting. And here we go. So, first deploy the front end of the jack of the bridge laying vehicle. And that would be my L2 button on my PlayStation controller. Once it's slightly lifted, I've deployed the front jack. Now I have to control the rear control arm. I have to slightly elevate the rear bridge section. That way it relieves pressure on the surface of the lower bridge section, which would be the front section. And then I should be able to control both the front and the rear moving in opposite directions. And I have markers on side the bridge, which are kind of hidden in light gray, to help me make sure I have everything pretty much deployed. And I can point it out later in the video, like what markers I'm using to help me make references of like how far the bridge layer should move back, how far the bridge should move forward, and where I'd be hitting jams. And I have this pretty much all nailed just about right now. So I'm going to start controlling both bridge sections. The top section needs to be moved a farther distance than the lower one before I move on to the next stage. And that would look like this. So I'd move the front section first, about maybe like 2 seconds, 10 seconds. Boom. And then now the forward section. And so once I hit there, the lower section, the front end of the bridge layer, is at the right distance for the next stage. And then now the top section, the rear end of the bridge, needs to move just about there. Yeah, right about there before I move on to the next stage. And so now this next stage, this is the, this would be like the outrigger section, the center rail of the bridge layer, which needs to be moved forward out. And that is controlled now by the share button on my PlayStation controller. And now with that, it's fully extended. The center rail works now as a outrigger. And then looks like I need to move it forward just a little bit more to clear the pins. And these are my center locks right here. And there are about 8 connection points. So there are 8 pins on the locking system for this to be fully engaged. And I need to make sure that those get fully engaged before I move on to further stages of deploying it. And then these 3 pins over here are locator pins. And so now the next stage is to lower the rear side of the bridge until it runs level with the locks. And that should be just about good right there. And now I can move the rear section, use the locator pins to help me guide it to the right spot. And so now the locator pins have lined up the locks onto the bridge segments. And now it may look like it's fully assembled, but it's not yet because the locks haven't been engaged. So it's not safe to drive over this bridge yet. And so now I need to move both sections forward to where the locks line up with the servo actuator. And so that it would look like this. So right about there, the locks are lined up with the servo actuator inside the forward control arm. And then I just need to make sure that there's very little pressure acting on all the pins or they'll lock up. And so now I'll use my right R2 button to extend out the locks, and then I'm going to bring forward the rear bridge section just a little bit until all the pins kind of line up. there. And then, looks like I need to move down on the forward control arm. Boom. Now I can let go of the R2 button. And then now, if I press down more on the forward control arm, it presses down on the bridge and it kind of helps line up all the locks. And then it should be, after I do this, I should start hearing the locking pins engage. And perfect. Everything locked up first try. And then now I can just level out everything. And then now I just need to extend the bridge layer until it reaches to the other side. And let me just check the video, make sure it doesn't cut off. Okay, it's still going. And so now, this should be the exciting part. It'll extend the entire bridge out. And then I should be able to deploy it. All right, here we go. So I'm controlling both the forward and the rear control arms. At a certain point, I won't need the rear anymore. And that would be right about here. And now I'm just controlling the forward control arm. Controlling the elevation as I go. And I have to make sure that this tail end of the bridge doesn't get caught on any of the pieces here on the chassis. And then once I reach a certain point measured out onto the control arm, I should be able to reach out to 4 feet. And right about here, lining up the end of the bridge layer to some indicator pieces over here, this is already measured out for 4 feet. And now I can lower the bridge. And it touches onto the other side. And so that's officially crossing a 4-foot gap. And so now I need to extend out to clear the control arm. I need to extend out the bridge just a little bit further, about 8 inches looks like it. So then, right about at this point, I really have to be careful because I usually extend it out too far and then I drop the bridge. But I have some indicator pieces right here which tell me to stop right there. And that should clear the running gears of the control arm. And so now I can lower the bridge completely. And now the bridge is completely set by the table surface. And now I just need to roll the rest of the bridge off of the control arm. And so that would be this one right here. And now it's fully disengaged from the bridge. And then I can return the center rail just a little bit and then lift up the control arm. And once it's cleared, I can now retract the rest of the center rail outrigger. Boom. And then I gotta lift the front jack now. And there we go. So now this chassis is now ready to drive over the bridge. And when I'm driving, I gotta make sure that my bridge layer is 100% lined up and being careful about driving straight and controlling as I go up. Just getting over the bridge, just traveling up to this point, this is where I need to make sure my bridge layer is 100% lined up. And I would like to add some guide rails onto the bridge layer, but I'm trying to conserve weight. If it ends up being too hard to drive the bridge without guide rails, I'll have to add it. But for now, I'm trying to avoid having to do that, to not add too much weight to the bridge. And here we go, the exciting part of driving over it. Okay. Get that lined up. And I've successfully driven over the bridge without falling off. And the camera's still going. Whoops. So now I can actually focus more on this side. And from here, I need to maneuver. From here, I need to maneuver the chassis around to be able to pick up the bridge. So I'll do that right now. Do a 0-point turn. And I'm now just off by a couple inches. Okay, and that looks pretty darn lined up. And here we go. I should be able to now start engaging or start retracting the bridge. So now it's pretty much the reverse of deploying it. And so I've never gotten this far with the video. But here we go. Front jack first. Oh, I need to be standing on this side. So let's see, I wonder if I'm in the camera angle, huh? Where am I? Okay. So front jack first. And then extend the bridge layer out. So I have to be just a little bit, doesn't need to be fully just yet. Bring down this one. So stepping on the bridge with the front control arm. Line up. Extend up a little bit more. Lined up almost there. Boom. There we go. Pretty much lined up. Is that too far back for the bridge layer? No, should be fine. Drive a little bit forward, move the bridge. And then now, should be able to catch this guy right here. Yeah, so I have to drive forward with the drive. No, reverse. And then control the outrigger. And there we go, I've caught the bridge. So now, I have to drive forward just a little bit more, extend the outrigger to 100%. Now that's fully extended. And now I should be able to pick up the bridge, just check some alignment stuff again. And I should be able to pick up the bridge layer now. Boom. Drive back a little bit. Oops. Nope, it's not fully engaged. How do I want to fix this? Didn't get fully engaged. Okay. There we go. Now it should be. There we go. And I've successfully recovered the bridge. Now this is the easy part. I got plenty of experience doing this. So at this stage, I'm just waiting I gotta line up the locks with the servo in the control arm, which is right about there. I gotta be very careful about this. So now lock, engage the servo lock, R2. Locks are open, and I can now pull the rear servo, the rear section of the bridge, and I've successfully disassembled the bridge. And then now, got to start paying attention to my indicators on how far to travel back. So right up there. Right. Okay. So right about there, rear elevator. At this point, lower the bridge just a little bit on the front section. Whoops. Now, I need to retract the center rail outrigger. Very good. And then, move this all the way back. And move the center rail. All right, not too bad.